I'm joined by Lesia Vasylenko, Ukrainian MP for the Holos Party and co-chair of the UK Friendship Group. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Your thoughts this morning and now, having taken in the news that Donald Trump has won, what you think it means for your country?
Well, hopefully it means that the rhetoric for the voters in the United States will now take second stage, and that there will be designated speakers on international policy, on defense and security, who will take the actual American stance on Ukraine and on the geopolitics in the world. And that should translate into weapon deliveries, at least at the same level as they are now, possibly the increase of weapon deliveries and a possible end to the war, like Trump promised.
J.D. Vance said, "I don't care about Ukraine." Was that just for US voters, do you think? I suppose you have to hope it was.
That's exactly it, that we have to hope that it was. And that Trump's rhetoric on Ukraine as well during his debates was also for the internal voters to get those votes and to become president and VP. We will have to still wait and see. It's still early on to tell. I think that by the end of January, we will know exactly what sort of politics and policies America is going to espouse with regards to Ukraine.
And your own President Volodymyr Zelensky has congratulated Donald Trump and praises his commitment to what President Zelensky called peace through strength. Is that, I presume, is code for, keep helping us. We need strength.
Yeah. Exactly. Keep helping us, increase the weapon productions, give us more weapons, and give us the right to strike inside of Russia, those very sources that are striking Ukrainian civilian targets every single day.
And is Ukraine's plan, if it does strike inside Russia, to strike only military targets?
Absolutely. Ukraine has never breached the international humanitarian law conventions and has no intention of doing so. We are a country fighting for our freedom and also fighting a defensive war. We are the victim here. We have the aggressor to deal with.
You presumably would have wanted a different outcome. I mean, we haven't got it, and I know you, as an MP, you'll be pragmatic enough to live with the reality of it. But you presumably would have preferred Kamala Harris, would you, to win this election?
To be honest, we were very, very well aware that it's up to the American people, and as members of parliament, we were prepared for whatever choice the American people would make. We would have to work with both teams, and this is how we structured our diplomatic efforts as well. Part of the Ukrainian members of parliament were working strongly and actively with the Democrats, and part were working with the Republicans.
Looking back, just thinking of my previous caller, when Donald Trump, when Vladimir Putin invaded Crimea, and I must correct myself, it was under an Obama administration in 2014 exactly. that happened, not a Trump. Trump was elected 2 years later. That was my mistake. When that happened, do you look back at that now and think that NATO, America, the wider world did too little?
NATO and the wider world did too little when Russia invaded Georgia, and did too little when, under Moscow rule, the capital of Grozny was completely wiped out, and did too little when we were dealing with Transnistria. Every single time it was too little that was done, that was giving a brighter and brighter green light to Russia to strike more and more. And this is what you get as a result. As a result, you get a war in the middle of Europe that doesn't end. It's already over a decade that we are fighting this war. And this war, it's depleting resources, not just inside of Ukraine, but across the whole world. Not just in Europe or the United States, but it's also about the global South countries, Africa, Asia countries, Middle East. All of them are suffering.
The places you mention attacked or invaded by Russia prior to the Crimea, it's an interesting point you make, because a lot of people here in the UK either won't remember or won't know some of those places, won't recall that they were invaded. Are you saying that was what that sort of escalation, that line that leads to what's happening in Ukraine now, you say will continue if Ukraine is defeated by Russia here and become worse for Europe?
Undoubtedly. Why would it end? If we're looking at this from this perspective, why should Russia stop if it's not stopped? Every time it sees that aggression is tolerated, that it can get more and more zones of influence, that it can get more and more territories, and that the totalitarian regime that Putin has built up for decades now can only grow. There's no reason for Russia to stop.
As well as the continuing support from America under Biden for now and under Trump when he comes in January, what else does Ukraine need, do you think, from the world here? I mean, clearly the war is on, so weapons are at the top of the list. But what else do you want people to know? What else do you want from Donald Trump in relation to Europe and Ukraine?
There needs to be a strong anti-Putin coalition built up in the world. There can be no illusion that someone can sit down at a negotiation table and over a glass of whiskey or whatever drink you might want to have, shot of vodka, you're going to reach some kind of agreement over Ukraine. That's not happening. That hasn't happened in 2014, in 2015. It will not happen in 2024. The only way to get rid of Putin and his totalitarian hold on Russia is by winning this war that is being fought on the territory of Ukraine. And the only way to do it is to build up a very, very strong anti-Putin coalition. The US can lead it, the UK can lead it, and Europe needs to take a stronger stance as well.
That's interesting. So if Donald Trump and JD Vance weren't just playing to the crowd in the election campaign when JD Vance said he doesn't care about Ukraine, Donald Trump says he's going to look at it differently. If that is the case, you say enter Keir Starmer, enter Chancellor Scholz of Germany, enter Macron, and what?
Well, Europe needs to start taking care of itself. Europe simply cannot be constantly looking onto the United States or whatever other country or whatever other region to come and take care of its interests. This war is being fought in the European region, on the European continent. And it's for countries like the United Kingdom, which is not part of the EU, but part of the European region and the European continent, to step up and to take the leadership and to start taking care of its own security, its own defense. For that to happen, some homework needs to be done. The military resources of all the countries are depleted by now. There needs to be an amplified production of defense and security inventory. Weapons, ammunition, technologies need to be amped up and need to be modernized across the globe, really. Ukraine can provide a lot because we have had to develop our military tech very quickly. And right now we are at the forefront. At the forefront is also Russia and China. So it's about building up those partnerships with Ukraine, preferably through NATO networks, that Europe can start defending itself and taking care of its own strategic defense and security interests.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Lesia. Good to talk to you. Thank you. Lesia Vasylenko, Ukrainian MP for the Holos Party.